Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is YBA, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. If you're not new, if you're an OG and you've been coming here every week, making it a date with me, mwah, I love you so much. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all you need to know about breastfeeding. I'm currently breastfeeding actually, so I've always been all for breastfeeding, and I have been celebrating World Breastfeeding Week on my Instagram. I've been holding an IG live series with amazing people, you know, just inviting people to get in there, and we have these amazing conversations, you know, for 1 hour. What better time to drop a breastfeeding video if not World Breastfeeding Week? Happy World Breastfeeding Week. Let us get into it. Choosing to breastfeed is one of the best decisions you can make for yourself as a mom and for your baby, you know, the infant you're going to be breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is recommended by WHO, which is the World Health Organization. It's recommended by UNICEF. It's recommended by doctors, pediatricians, nurses, midwives. There's a reason why breast milk is always recommended. I just want to put this out there because in previous years, I have come across posts online when World Breastfeeding Week is being celebrated, or just when someone talks about breastfeeding a lot, it triggers certain people. And I think it triggers people who maybe have not been able to have a very good breastfeeding journey, who maybe couldn't breastfeed and they wanted to, and just generally, you know, at times it turned into a debate between breast is best and fed is best. That is not what this week is about. This week is about promoting, educating, talking about the struggles of breastfeeding. If you are following me on Instagram, we've talked about so many things. We had an insightful conversation about breastfeeding and the workplace. We've talked about breastfeeding, all the tips and tricks you can use so that you can enjoy a better breastfeeding journey. We've explored breastfeeding essentials, the different types of breastfeeding. Did you know that there's so many ways that breastfeeding can happen, not just putting the baby to the breast? Again, I understand that certain societies, especially back here, some people make some women feel bad for not breastfeeding. Oh, you're already feeding your baby formula. Please, that's not what we're doing here. We're not shaming anyone for not breastfeeding or not being able to breastfeed. I'm simply here to make you a breastfeeding convert, tell you all the good things about breastfeeding, and if possible, also share some of the tricks and tips that worked for me. I have breastfed through my 3 children. I'm still breastfeeding my last baby now, and I'm not going to lie, breastfeeding is hard. I think people don't tell you that. They just tell you, oh, you should breastfeed. Breastfeeding is hard. The main reason anyone will tell you to breastfeed is because it's filled with many nutrients that benefit your baby. It's been linked to reducing infant death, infant mortality rate. It's been linked to reducing asthma or anemia in babies. It's linked to even reduction of cancer in women. You know, it helps you to lose weight. Not everybody, because your girl has not lost weight. It helps you to heal faster. It helps your uterus to contract, you know, back to its original form faster after birth. Like, I could go on and on. I'm going to tell you a reason that people don't usually tell you. It is cheaper. See, if you breastfeed exclusively for 6 months, you're saving your family a lot of cost. Yes. No, people don't tell you. You see the formulas that we buy? If you have a baby who has a very healthy appetite, I'm not even talking like a voracious appetite, just a very healthy appetite that eats well, you may or may not use about 2 tins or maybe 1.5 tins of milk or formula every week. Now, if you're buying the imported ones, like any of the Infamil, Aptamil, you know, those ones, Similac, you know, the imported ones, you might be spending one of those ones, I think it retails for an average of 19K, some of them up to 20-something thousand here in Nigeria. And that means you'll be spending an average of, let's say, multiply by 5 or 4 tins of that in a month, and multiply that by the 6 months, first 6 months of life, on top of all other expenses you have. Let's start from when you're pregnant. What should you do? Every night, from maybe, I would recommend from your 2nd trimester, just take your breasts, see my hand like so, the nipple, and just gently massage it, by pulling it forward. You can use ori, you can use just any nice oil that you have. Nothing serious, just a gentle massage. Now, disclaimer, be sure not to overdo it. You can do it every night, honestly. And that's it. It will start pulling out the nipples. There are even other things in the market you could buy. There's niplets, the nipple shields. You wear them inside your bra. If you find out that maybe you come from the family where you guys might, struggle with lactation, prepare your body so that once you drop like this, your milk will start flowing. There's so many foods, superfoods you can eat for breastfeeding. I'll link up my video on how to increase your milk supply up here. Things like fenugreek, fennel seeds, chia seeds, oatmeal, pap, like moringa. Moringa powder does wonders. If you just add a tablespoon or a teaspoon in your pap or in Greek yogurt, you're on your way. So many things work for different people. On my IG live series, someone told me it was hot amala. Someone said it was just oat milk. Someone said carrot juice. So prepare. I think that's the first thing I'm going to tell you. In all the things you need to know about breastfeeding, you need to prepare for breastfeeding. Part of preparing for breastfeeding is also getting tools, that will ease your breastfeeding journey. If you're a working mom and you have to resume back to work and you really want to make things easy for yourself, I recommend that you invest in a breast pump. I'm not just giving this recommendation to working moms. At times, it can feel a lot for you to just be attached. It's like you're attached to another human being and you can't even move. You can't go anywhere because, you have to feed this person. Invest in a breast pump. That way, someone else around you can help you feed your baby. This takes a lot of stress off of you. Okay, you still put your baby to breast, no doubt, but you can go and have a shower without freaking out in the shower that, baby is going to wake up. You can go out for a night with the girls, because you have a stash at home that you've pumped and someone is minding your baby. So I would definitely recommend, as part of your preparations for breastfeeding, to invest in a breast pump. Now, the thing about investing in a breast pump and planning to pump is it also means you have to invest in a couple of some other things. For instance, you need to buy storage bags. You need electricity, freezer or fridge, depending on how long you want to store breast milk for. And then you need to buy sterilizing equipment. So prepare. Now, let's talk about different types of milk. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, if you've never breastfed before, you might have seen some breast milk. It looks white, some looks yellowish. At times, some looks like it's thick, some looks like it's really watery. I've seen greenish looking breast milk before. I have seen bluish looking breast milk before. It's all normal. Breast milk mimics what is happening in the body. Now, let's talk about the golden one, which is your colostrum. I think that's how to pronounce it. Sure. And this is the first milk that you are going to produce when you have your baby. This milk is yellow, it's thick, it's filled with goodness and antibodies. When your first milk comes out, it's not going to be gushing, it's not going to be milky, like, the milky color. It will be yellow. I'm going to put a picture of mine up here somewhere. It's yellowish, it's thicker, it's not a lot, so it comes in, just its natural quantity. Now, do not worry when you just start breastfeeding. See, your baby's stomach is very small. It starts to increase as they grow. So the first week or few days, their stomach is very tiny. You will see what will happen once you stop making colostrum. I think I stopped making with this last baby it took me about a week, almost 2 weeks. It was towards the end of my second week, I started noticing that my breast milk started getting lighter. So the color, it was light, it was yellow, then it went to really light yellow, and then lighter, and then it went to the creamy, milky color. What has happened is your body is now making you your regular breast milk. Now, this regular breast milk is what most people see, but even that changes. Let me tell you something cool. There's something called the backwash effect when you breastfeed. This effect usually works for mothers who put their babies to their breast. The backwash effect is when your baby is not feeling fine. I don't know if you noticed, but when your baby is sick or ill, your breast milk color, it will change. In fact, the consistency might change a little. If you're observant, you'll notice. And what has happened is the backwash effect. Your baby, when the baby latches on and sucks, between each suckle, there's like a vacuum that is created in your milk duct, and the saliva of the baby goes in. And when the saliva of the baby goes in, your body is able to detect that this baby needs certain antibodies for whatever it is that is going on with them. And that triggers your body into making special milk for your baby for that period. Do you realize what is happening? Like, you can help in healing your baby. Isn't that amazing? If you feel like you need to make more milk, you need to watch my video, how to increase your breast milk supply for any reason. There are ways, certain things you can do. A lot of reasons why people cannot breastfeed is linked to latch problems. Yes, if your baby is not properly latched onto your breast milk will not come in as it should. Now, there's so many ways you can hold your baby, to breastfeed. You've got the cradle method. There's a football hold. If you're nursing multiples, newborns, they can literally fit in the palm, from your hand to your elbow. So you can hold them like so and put them here. The first thing you need to get, your baby's tummy should be facing your tummy. Your baby should be like this. This is your baby's face. This is the back of their head. This is their tummy. So they should face you. Tummy to tummy, I recommend it. Your baby's body should not be facing outward and only their head is facing you. What will happen is your baby will be pulling on your breast a little bit, and that would eventually lead to cracked nipples if you're not careful. So the next thing you need to do is nose to nipple. I call it nose to nipple because the baby's nose, like so, this is your breast, should be like this. If the baby is sucking on the breast, then their nose should be to your nipple. So they're not supposed to be pressed into your breast, but the nose of the baby should be to the nipple. The nipple is in the mouth, but that's not all of the nipple. The areola is still there. So the baby's nose should be to the areola. That's how you know your baby has gotten enough. The baby is supposed to get enough nipple into their mouth to be able to breastfeed. You need to support your baby's head. Just your baby. So when your nipples are sore or they're bruised, the same breast milk, that comes out of you, breast milk is filled with antibacterial properties. So just get some of the breast milk maybe from where you expressed from. Use a cotton wool, get some breast milk, and just, put it on top of that place. Now, I don't want you to leave the cotton wool on it. You need to let air out your breast. So, breast out. Go topless for like an hour or 30 minutes, depending on how much time you have. If you live in a house where you can go topless and go around your house, daddies, this is not a cue, for you to come and get sexy. No, this is someone trying to heal our boobies. So, put the breast milk on and just, let the breast air. The air on the breast plus the breast milk drying on it is going to heal your cracked and sore nipples. Still talking about soothing sore or cracked nipple, how you can actually heal them using nipple creams that have lanolin in them, using breast pads. You can also use cabbage, the vegetable, like cabbage has worked wonders. Another pro tip, cabbage also works for when you're weaning. The first 2-3 days of weaning is always hard on your breast. Your breasts become big because you're not breastfeeding anymore. They at times can even become engorged. Engorgement is when the breast is just hard, and engorgement can lead to something called mastitis. So cabbage works for that as well. Just take the cold cabbage or frozen cabbage, put it inside or like around the whole breast. You will smell like a salad bar. I can promise you that. You smell like a restaurant. Anyone, in fact, I recommend that you just dedicate certain clothing, and you probably will need to change your bra like every few hours, especially if the smell irritates you, but it would work. Like, your breast will shrink in no time. The breast milk, the pain will be gone. It helps with the inflammation. If you're someone who even gets like the chills, just take paracetamol and put the cabbage and you're good. So use cabbage. Now let's talk about engorgement. Engorgement is if maybe at times, especially when you're working, this could happen to you a lot, because you've gone to work for maybe how many hours and you didn't breastfeed. You can come back home, and even when you do breastfeed, your breast some part of it will be hard, that means maybe you have a blocked milk duct or two. And what do you do to, and it's painful. At times it can give you the chills, it could give you headache, it could even mimic like a fever. At that point, you're about to cross engorgement over to mastitis, and that means you have an infection. So you have to be careful. So for your engorgement, go and have a hot shower. Hot water will help you. Then if you can get a towel and some hot water, use it to massage and press the breast. And final tip, get ori, that's a shea butter. Get some shea butter or cocoa butter, or any butter you have. Massage your breast. This is a massage like this, downwards towards your nipple. Lots of it, get in there with the massaging. And then just wear loose clothing and give it some time. If you're like me, I go in with everything. Just add cabbage after massaging, then put cabbage and wear a bra with the cabbage, and before you know it, it's going to happen. If you're engorged, I still recommend you continue breastfeeding, because the milk duct that is blocked will not unblock if breast milk doesn't come out. So if you're breastfeeding or you're pumping, keep doing what you do, and before you know it, everything will clear. Now to the biggest one, mastitis. Mastitis is not your friend. Mastitis is terrible. By the time you graduate to mastitis, you will need hospital intervention. How you know you have left engorgement to mastitis, the first sign is the skin on your breast will change. If you're light skinned, you'll probably see some redness. If you're dark skinned, you might look more purplish. But if you just start seeing funny little, coloring around the part that is hard and is painful, you have mastitis. And it will give you fever, it will give you chills, like you have malaria. Mastitis is painful, it gives you terrible headaches. That means you have an infection in your milk duct and you need to go to the hospital. You're going to need antibiotics and treatment start, because it can be a long and painful recovery if you keep it for a long time. So I don't have any tips for you to treat mastitis. I just recommend that you go to the hospital. Let's talk about expressing breast milk. Now, when you express breast milk, I've told you have to prepare not just for what you will use to express. How do you plan to store your breast milk? And honestly, even how long do you want to store them for? Now, I'm just going to do a quick, from A to Z of how expressing breast milk works. Expressing breast milk is basically you pumping from your breast. Some people use hands to express. Some people there's this thing called a haka. It's it's like a silicone suction. You put it on your breast as you're breastfeeding on this breast, so it catches all your let down. And at times, if you squeeze it, there's a way you work with it. You can also use it to collect some milk. Or you can use manual pumps. It works. I used a manual pump for my first baby, and I pumped like a mother. I pumped a lot, that's what I mean. And it worked for me. Now, before you pump, we usually, even if it's straight from the box, you have to sterilize your pump pads. When you sterilize, you pump your milk. Now, when you pump, I would recommend, you can store in a bottle, but I don't recommend bottle storage for extended long periods of time. To take up more space than storage bags, definitely. And at times it can make it a bit more difficult for you to defreeze, because it's a thick plastic. Bags, on the other hand, it's just a nylon. It's also plastic, but it's thinner, so it's always easier to defreeze, and it doesn't take up as much space as bottles. If you have this much freezer space, you can probably line up like 10 flat bags in there. By the time you put 3 standard bottles in here, there's no more space. Bags are not cheap, so if you have quite a number of bottles, maybe people gifted you bottles, use bottles. Bags come with where you write and you label your milk. With bottles, you probably have to do a homemade label to put around it so that you can track your milk. So whichever one works for you. I do both. You can store breast milk in different ways. You can refrigerate breast milk. Refrigerated breast milk at the back of the fridge, not on the door, can stay for up to 4 days to 4 to 6 days, depending on the temperature. So we say 4 to 6 days because I'm not sure, honestly, of what the temperature of your fridge is. If you stay where the power is going off, that can also affect the length of time your breast milk will stay in there. Freezer is still best. Even if you have a power situation, most freezers will still stay frozen for quite some hours or even days. So I will still recommend freezer. If you use regular freezer, you can store your breast milk, you can still use it for about 3 months. You can store up to 3 months. But if you use a deep freezer, you can have your breast milk for 6 months to a year. That's how long you can store your breast milk for. So you see, you have so much bandwidth, of storage time. Feeding baby over freezer. Don't feed your freezer and neglect feeding your baby, because at times you go online and you see beautiful pictures of lots of breast milk. Some people have, like, it's crazy, it's almost like a market. They have like entire freezer top to bottom filled with breast milk, and then you want to build an impressive stash, and in doing that you're pumping all the time and you're not feeding your baby. You're just doing yourself, because the breast milk, are you the one that will drink it? So no, don't feed the freezer, feed the baby. If everything is going on like it should, you will have more left, and you build a stash over time. It's normal. You might not be as big as that person's stash, but we are all different. We make different amounts of milk, so don't feel any way about it. Feed my baby, not your freezer, okay? You're in the office, like when you just resume work, if your breast milk isn't coming out on the first day, just try again, maybe in like another 30 minutes, and just make sure you're relaxed. So, find a good, comfortable seat, relax your back, put on some music if you can. If not, you can use your headphones or earphones, or just think of your baby or look at a picture of your baby, and there comes your breast milk. The final thing I have to say about this breastfeeding, I think I've said everything about breastfeeding, is looking after yourself. If mommy is not happy, baby will not be happy. If you're anxious all the time, if you're tired, if you're irritable, babies usually feed off of the energy from you. So if you're trying to breastfeed and maybe some things are not really going well, I know it's hard, but try to relax. Honestly, don't beat yourself up about it. Many of us have done it before, cried and plenty crying, it happens. Hormones are still at work. So I would recommend just step away from the situation for a few minutes. Leave, don't pump, leave it, or don't feed. Quiet your baby down. Then try again, maybe in 30 minutes. But the trick, honestly, is to try. Try, keep trying. The more you try, honestly, the better your chances are of being able to have a successful breastfeeding journey. Finally, a fed and happy baby is the best baby in the world. Breastfeeding is still the best. I will always recommend it. But if for any reason you cannot, or you're unable to commit to it, I always use commitment, because breastfeeding is a commitment. You have to be committed, because let me tell you, even if you are making milk that can feed 5 babies, the stress on your body, the stress on your mind, all of that comes together, and it might take a toll, and you might just not be ready for it. So you have to prepare, you have to be ready, you have to commit, and you have to be ready to give it your all. I wish you a wonderful and happy breastfeeding journey, and I hope that this video is able to help you one way or the other. Happy breastfeeding week. See you next week.